You can count on me like 1, 2, 3. I'll
Great
be
day, great
there.
way to start the day.
And I
Dancing
know when
to
I
Doctor
need it, I
Castillo.
can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, yeah. If you're tossing and you're turning and you just can't fall asleep, I'll sing a song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you really mean to me,
Joseph is here.
every day I will remind you. Oh,
We give it another
find
minute
out what
before
we're
we
made
start.
of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3. I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah.
Woohoo!
Ooh,
All friends together here today. Oh, Joel, sorry, who's joining in?
you'll always have my shoulder when you cry. I'll
Right,
never
lad.
let go.
Woo, what a great way to start the day every day this week. It's so wonderful to see you all and still more people coming in into this morning's session. Hi, Doreen, how are you? Thank you for a lovely session yesterday. And today we are going to talk about Global Goal 13. And I am not going to do any of the talking today. You might be really happy to know. I'm going to hand you over to Danson from Kenya, who has some amazing schools and students lined up to speak to you. So, Danson, take it away.
Thank you, Budget, and welcome everybody to our today's session. And today we are going to talk about a pressing challenge that's currently in the lips, in the heads, in the minds of all global leaders of the world population. And I was just listening to that song that was being played. And to me, it was like the earth giving a voice to all of us that you can count on me. And I think for us as human beings, we can count on the earth to provide for us, but also the earth has to count on us for us to take good care of it. And such is the relationship, I think, that needs to exist between human beings and the earth and our lovely planet. But for that to happen, there is one major setback that we must do to make sure that the earth can provide for us, and that's making sure that the climate is favorable for all of us. I'm just thinking of a world where all the students from Ireland can decide to go in the field without seeing any hedgehogs, without seeing any badgers, any otters out there. I'm thinking of a planet where students from South Africa can go out in the field without seeing any kudus, without seeing any wild dogs, without seeing any giraffes. Think of a world where students from Kenya, when going into the park, can miss to see the lion, can miss to see the elephant, can miss to see any buffalo and any leopard. And think of a world where students from the United Arab Emirates can decide to visit the fields and miss to see the mountain gazelle, the sand gazelle, the sand fox, among many other animals. For this is possible, but today I think I'm going to talk from a point of hope where we have the tools and we have the technology and we have the information to make sure that our world is hospitable for all of us, for all the biodiversity that's inside it. And before I can proceed on this topic today, we are going to have some discussions with two lovely schools in Kenya, one called Terra Moyo. And for the record, Terra Moyo is a forest school, one, and also was the first school in Kenya to attain the green flag in the shortest time possible. And this just shows how much amazing work they are doing. Then we are also going to be joined by Braeside School, which we're also going to have a few of their students presenting about climate action and its interrelationship with life on land. Because I love Kenya, I love my country, and I'm also a big fan of music, I would want all of us to listen to some music about Kenya and the beautiful land that we have here. And if you know part of the song, feel free to sing along.
Only got one mama, you only got one papa, you only got one life to live, no matter who you are. You can go the whole world over, every city has its dawn, but everybody living has one place where he was born. And mine is Kenya, so warm and wild and free. You'll always stay with me here in my heart. My land is Kenya, right from your highlands to the sea. You'll always stay with me here in my heart, here in my heart. Got one childhood and the memory that springs when you see your house, the tree you climbed, and all those precious things. The faces of the friends I had, the images that fall. When I close my eyes in the land I love, the land where I was born. It's Kenya, so warm and wild and free. You'll always stay with me here in my heart. My land is Kenya, right from your highlands to the sea. You'll always stay with me here in my heart, here in my heart. My land is Kenya, right from your highlands to the sea. You'll always stay with me here in my heart, here in my heart.
Thank you. This music reminds me of a part of the American wisdom that says that we do not inherit this land from our forebears, but we have been loaned or this land by our children. And because we are leaving this land to make sure that those who are going to come before us can find a better place for them and also for their children, I would like to welcome one of the schools in Kenya called Teramoyo to present some of the actions that they are taking within their school environment so as to mitigate and adapt to the impacts of climate change. Teramoyo, if you can be able to start, please take over.
Thank you very much, Danson, and for sharing that inspirational video. We really are very privileged to live in a country such as Kenya that has so much rich biodiversity around us. Okay, we'll start a presentation. Just before we begin, I'll just introduce myself and my colleague. I'm Kit. We will try our best to make this as concise as possible and as context specific as we can. Okay, so of course we're talking about the Global Goal 13, which is climate action. We'll give a quick overview of what our presentation will cover. We'll give a little context about Teramoyo School because we feel that we are very privileged in our specific context. We haven't had a lot of challenges actually in place to push the sustainable agenda, and to be a school driven by our values means that we've been able pretty much to implement everything that has been thought up by our students and by teachers and the broader community. So we're really lucky in that regard. We'll look at some of the key climate challenges that we feel we've experienced, and we can share some examples of that as well, just to put it in context as well for everybody. We'll of course be trying to engage a lot of you in helping us with brainstorming how we as the human race can minimize our impacts on the world and on the climate issues that we're facing. Oh, hang on a second. Can everyone hear us? Okay.
Oh, yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so our name, Teramoyo, actually means earth and heart. So even in our name, I think you can understand that we have an integrated commitment to sustainability and a very, very strong relationship with the environment. We are literally situated directly on the border of Karura Forest, which is a beautiful forest here in the heart of Nairobi city. And we regularly have visitors from the forest joining us, everything from monkeys to safari ants, which always cause a lot of excitement, sometimes snakes. So yeah, nature is very much all around us all the time, and we're very ready to learn from what it has to offer on a day-to-day basis. We were actually not founded to be a school, and so we always kind of have grown organically and actually with a very slow and steady pace. So in every step of our growth, we've been able to continue integrating our commitments to sustainability, which is what I feel has helped us be so successful in achieving our green flag. And yeah, we just feel incredibly lucky that we haven't had the same type of challenges that a lot of other schools in Kenya have had in really trying to push the eco schools program and mandates. So that's really great. Yeah, we'll just share a photo of one of our classroom spaces. This is our kindergarten space, and we thought we would just kind of share it with you and see if anyone has any immediate observations that they could share about our space and how we have built our classroom structures and our play spaces to try and minimize our impact on the world. yes, it is very dry, despite being in a forest. Yeah, so I'm sure you can see a lot of kind of repurposed tires that are now also play spaces, and even our classrooms are very low impact as well. Yes, children really spend a lot of time outdoors in our space. So yeah, thank you for your inputs there. Okay, we'll just move quickly on to just Kenya context and some examples. And then we'll actually share real things in terms of what we do at various levels in our school that we feel is our contribution to minimizing our impacts in the world.
All right. So as you can see from the slideshow that we have shared there, they are all interlinked, starting from the first one, which is the human activity, which is like the main one that affects all, that affects the climate and impacts the ecosystem. Yeah, so human activity is very, very wide, as we all know. And it all starts from all the things that we do, like the industrialization, you know, and
yeah, so our primary focus, even in our share of what we do at Terra-Moya, will be on the human activity, because we feel that that is where we have direct influence. But obviously, as Lillian shared, it's all interlinked with all the other challenges we face with regards to our unpredictable weather patterns and the impacts it's having on our really, really vital ecosystems here in Kenya. So we would like to pose our first challenge to everyone to help us brainstorm all the different things that you know, humans do that can have a negative impact on the environment and on climate. And if I'm able to, I may try to write some of the ideas that come up here, just so we have a little brainstorming slide as well.
so as we can see, there's a the burning of fossil fuel is coming through, plastic and pollution, deforestation, mass production of goods, awesome, keep it coming, driving cars, yeah, large factories, which we have so many in Kenya, food waste, forest fires that might happen, soil erosion. Makini School is saying deforestation. I see Skull saying deforestation and food production, bad management of recycling. Wonderful, super awesome.
Okay, that's lots of wonderful things as well. Thank you for your inputs. Yeah, we'll start back here. Okay, so we can add to it by the end. And we can continue for now. So yeah, a lot of it is to do with if we can reduce, reuse and recycle a lot more on all of these areas, then of course we can have a positive impact. But yes, deforestation, fuel waste. In Kenya specifically, do you want to talk about a few things that we've seen in the last few years?
Yes, so in Kenya specifically, we have a lot of bad or rather not well planned out disposal of waste, and a lot of plastics end up in the drainage systems, which in return cause a lot of problems. Like, for example, now that it is raining a lot and there is a flood, actually, when we get rain once and we experience a lot of floods. For example, last year we had a student in our school who got affected by this. and they lost their home because of the floods. We also have other things like the air pollution that comes from a lot of cars and vehicles, and people not really embracing public transport, even though we have a lot of it here.
Yeah, we also have a huge issue with development, very rapid development in the cities. So although we are kind of nestled in this really kind of, not really an oasis, but in a very special biodiverse space here on this compound, the moment that we drive out, the amount of apartment buildings that are being raised on a daily basis is actually quite astounding. And it is having a huge impact kind of generally on quality of living in the city as well. So that's definitely something that has been a big thing here. So yes, all of what you've all shared already. Saw one comment there: use less, buy less. This is generally our motto in our day-to-day activities as well.
So let's look at the changing weather patterns, which is something we are experiencing a lot. We've been experiencing a lot in the past few years. And to be very specific, the droughts and the floods, as you can see from the pictures, this is actually what is happening right now. And we know that droughts is when we go for so long without water, without the rains. So then in return, the grounds become very dry, and also foods start drying out, and people start dying of hunger. And then we have the floods, which is also a lot of water that comes in terms of rain, and in return people get affected in very many different ways. I wanted you friends to help me brainstorm which SDGs you think will be affected by the droughts and floods, citing the few examples that I have given. Life on land. Yeah. I see life on land, climate change, zero hunger, number 2, yes. Good health, number 3, climate change, yes. Number 6, clean water and sanitation, marine life, yeah, life below the water, number 14. Number 6, number 14. Number 6, number 14. I see a lot of number 6 and 14 coming in. Number 1 as well.
These are some of the ones that we also picked up on, but of course, yeah, climate action there as well. I mean, just so many kind of interlinked issues there. And yeah, some of the comments have stated it has been quite heartbreaking to see the kind of patterns of droughts and flooding in Kenya and its impacts on life generally for so many. You know, deforestation has had generally a tremendous impact on water systems, you know, availability of water even in our river systems and lakes as well. And, you know, Kenya predominantly are known for rain-fed agriculture. And so a lot of farmers plan their planting and their systems and harvesting and everything based on rain. And of course, now there is no way really to predict when rains will come. So that has had a huge impact and has been quite debilitating for a lot of people and their livelihoods. Yeah.
Okay, just to point out, this week we are celebrating our Environmental Week here at Teramoyo. And we do this because the Wangari Maathai Day, I hope we all know the story of Wangari Maathai. She fought very, very much for Karura Forest so that it's reinstated, and the condition that it is now is because of her. So we have actually included her in our curriculum, and she's part of the biggest people we celebrate. So this week specifically, we are looking at planting extra trees, recycling our paper, which we always do, but we're now doing it like more consciously and letting the children know and just teaching them all the different ways that we can recycle the paper. And all the children will actually get to visit the forest, Karura Forest, and hopefully plant 2 or 3 trees in her memory.
So Karura Forest also have an amazing tree planting project that operates twice a year, again with the seasonal rains. So they have delayed this year, but we always try to participate annually in supporting them reach their targets of planting. I don't know, I think it's like 50,000 trees in the course of the year or something like that. So they're a great organization as well. Yes. We also do have in our program once every week, although we are already somewhat in a forest, we are lucky enough to have a private access to Karura Forest just here on our street. So every single age group, from our youngest who are 18 months old to our oldest currently who are 7 years old, they get 1 day a week where they spend the whole day in the forest, which is amazing, and they all love it. Yeah, and of course we learn a lot about changing kind of patterns in the river levels and the types of animals that we get to see in the forest and the different plant life there is there as well. So yeah, okay, we'll just quickly touch on this and then we'll go into some of the actions we're actually taking, which I think is the focus here. Some of the ecosystems that are most affected and most impacting in Kenya are, impacts to our wetland systems, our wetland ecosystems. Some of the most famous would be obviously our Great Lakes, as well as a lot of different marshlands and other things as well. I think it was a few years ago, we actually lost the seasonal migration of the flamingos because the water levels were too high, that there weren't enough of the kind of plankton and the food sources that the flamingos actually migrate here for. And so although that's one of the most kind of famous animal migrations here, along with obviously the wildebeest and everything else, we unfortunately were not able to see the flamingos for a very, very long time because of that. I don't know. Of course, we also have mangroves. We are so lucky that we have one of the most beautiful coastlines that, obviously I might be biased, but most beautiful coastlines in the world. And, we have a lot of mangrove systems as well that have also been impacted tremendously by climate change and by human activity as well. And of course, our coral reefs, we do boast some of the most rich biodiversity in the oceans as well here with our Indian Ocean coastline and reefs as well. So we're seeing dramatic impacts to all of these ecosystems. And luckily enough, because we seem to be in kind of like a hotspot for kind of awareness, ecological awareness, we have multiple different organizations working towards combating these negative impacts. So yeah, hopefully every step we take will be a step to a better future for us as well. Okay, so now Terra Moyo focused examples, and then at the end we'll have some time for you to ask any questions, for us to go a bit deeper. We do operate on every single level, and we may not have the chance to cover everything that we do, but we hope that this will at least give you an idea of some of the things that are feasible, even within your own contexts, even though obviously we are still very aware that we are very privileged to have a context like what we have here.
Yeah, so we are, as we call ourselves, the eco warriors. Starting from our playground to our classrooms to our bathrooms to our classrooms, everything is thought out and interlinked to how we can help the environment. So we do a lot of recycling and reusing. repurposing and also using like secondhand items. Like our books are all secondhand bought. We do use a lot of items from nature or things from nature to help us teach all our lessons. So then impacting less on the environment, because then we buy less. We just try so much to buy less.
So even as you see on the picture, we have a school table there. We also try and help other people recycle what would otherwise be their waste, and we've repurposed them into really fun sensory stations, mud kitchens, which means that we're not also buying timber and you know, adding to that problem as well. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Our visible and hidden curriculums are all aligned to conscious integration of educating us on the sustainability of climate change. As you can see, we are so heavy on the ecosystems and teaching the children how, like the balanced ecosystem and how we affect all that, or how we can contribute to helping the environment have a balance. This is also children harvesting eggs from the chicken, so just showing that we can get food from nature by rearing the chicken.
We are actually also a vegetarian school. That's for various reasons, as well as obviously the ecological impacts of eating meat within larger communities and things like that. But one of the primary aims is because we're trying to aim towards becoming a zero waste school. So a lot of our vegetable offcuts and food waste will either be composted through vermiculture, which is feeding it to our little worm colonies, or feeding it to our school pets, which is basically our chickens and our rabbits, where possible. So this is also integrated into our daily life with the kids. When they finish their snacks and their lunch, we have a composting bin, and they have the opportunity to also go feed the animals or go and feed the worms, so that they understand how we can minimize on waste as well. Yeah.
So we also do a lot of collaboration with communities around us to try and minimize. The second picture over here of flowers is us collaborating with a garden that these are actually their waste flowers. So we do get them, I think once every 2 weeks. Then we use it for activities at school. Yeah. So us also using environmental friendly items out in nature. This is basically like a classroom.
That's actually Lillian there. In one of our team building sessions, we had a wonderful lady from an organization called Good Natured Learning.
Yeah.
She's actually campaigning to integrate nature-based learning in schools all throughout Kenya at every level. And she brings expertise also from her experience around the world. And so she came to do a special workshop for our team here as well, to kind of also help us as a team understand actually what impacts we are having, because I think because we do it every day, some of us are not as conscious of the actual impacts that we're having. So it was a really nice way to kind of bring it all together and to help us all feel really good about our efforts day to day. So that's great. Yeah, we also collaborate with our parents. They're constantly donating cardboard boxes and empty plastic bottles, bottle caps, corks from their Friday nights. We now have launched a clothes swap initiative, part of the push to kind of sensitize people on the impacts of fast fashion. And thank you, Danson, for flagging that to us as a really good way of us taking a step further to have even greater impact. So we're now using for kind of clothes that are really old, that can't be reworn, we kind of make them into yarn thread that we use for weaving projects and other kind of arts and crafts things. If not, we just have a community kind of clothes swap every Friday at our community roundabout, where parents can come and drop things and pick things according to their need, as a bid for us to also promote use less, buy less kind of approach. Yeah. And so we'll just share a few other pictures here before we come to the end. Of course, water conservation.
So we have this kind of water stations. This is our hand washing station. The reason why we have this storage is so that we can actually be conscious about how much water we use, because then the children can see it getting finished. So then they have to be conscious, what do I need to do? Then I need to close the tap. We do
just also quickly, we use chemical-free soaps.
Yes.
So the water that collects in the buckets is then used to kind of water the plants and our school gardens as well.
Let's see. Then our classrooms are all built in a way that allows free light circulation. So we minimize the light bulbs, or the electricity is not usually on unless very necessary. And then we have our water collecting station, where we collect rainwater to then use around the school for watering plants, for washing hands and general cleaning around the school. And the children did participate in making these recycling centers that you can see here, so that every day whenever they are out and about and they find a glass or a plastic or a metal, they then can sort it out, and then sort it out to our biggest recycling center that we actually have by the gates.
So actually, interestingly, we are on a slope, and so when it rains and there's a lot of flooding, we get a lot of waste from outside. So when we say we find glass and metal, we find all sorts of wonderful, weird and wonderful things on our school grounds. So there's also kind of like a daily awareness embedded also in the children as they walk down and they see, you know, something that is unusual or unexpected within our natural environment. So yeah, they're pretty good at helping us clean up.
Okay, and then Teramoyo generally has a no-buy list, and this has been shared with the parents, and as teachers as well, we cannot requisition for those because they're bad for the environment. So we have the aluminum foil, which is really good for experiments, but we have learned to find alternatives. And plastic cutlery and plates, we all have metal, which is like long-term and really good for the environment. We cannot get glitter because, as we all know, it's really bad for the ocean because it ends up on the earth and then it gets washed into the ocean, and that's really bad for the sea life. Paper plates as well, the cling film, balloons, plastic straws, and of course the earbuds that also have a plastic ending.
So we have done our best to find alternatives for all of them. Yeah. Obviously for the plastic glitter, we do flower glitter. We dry flowers and then cut it up into small little pieces, or we create confetti by punching out leaves and flowers as well. Paper
colored
plates.
sand.
Yeah, we use colored sand dyed with food color. Paper plates. We have so much cardboard in our resource center, you wouldn't believe. Yeah, so we kind of have a lot of alternative things for what would otherwise be there. This is just some
examples. So this is us at the forest. This is our greatest recycling center that even parents get to bring in all their recyclables and they get to sort it in there for use later. This is how we use some of the bottle caps that we have collected over time.
So interestingly, our director who founded the school and is incredibly passionate about the environment, as I'm sure you can tell with everything that we do, when she goes to travel to the coast, she picks up bottle caps and commissions fishermen to also do the same bottle caps and flip-flop waste that we find on the beach. We collect and then she brings back to the school and we try to figure out a way to repurpose them, use them in arts and craft activities, or in this case, it was a sorting activity kind of for color, but also to sensitize children on the impacts of waste. Yeah. Then we have our gardening program. We launched our first school pond as well. It's a good one. We keep losing a lot of water when it's really hot, and then it refills when it rains. So that's a natural lesson for the kids as well. We had an issue with a lot of pruned branches just accumulating on site. So we ended up turning a lot of the wood kind of cuttings into counting sticks and musical instruments and other things to support in our classrooms. Yeah.
And that's our garden there where the children get to plant. Well, so you can see how we have used all the recyclables. So this is basically what we would do in an art lesson. Looking at the picture, everything is recycled: eggshells, pencil shavings, bottle caps, flowers, pistachio shells. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we partner with a lot of value-aligned organizations. So we have field trips every year, and we've selected 2 farms in Kenya within relatively close proximity to Nairobi City in a place called Limuru. One is an organic farm, which is Malango Farm, and one is, they call it a green-natured farming approach. It's for sustainable agriculture, forest foods. They kind of are trying to pioneer a new way of farming, and we thought that they're the best people we could learn from, also to gain some insight for our own school gardens. Elimu Box provide us with all our secondhand books, as do parents when they're donating for us. And Grounded is a local organization that has basically built non-toxic products for every kind of potential cleaning purpose. So yeah, so we try to have strong partnerships with companies that we feel help us push our eco-minded agenda. Yeah.
Okay, so what can you do to reduce your carbon footprint? What are some of the things that you can do in your daily life to help the environment? Is what we leave you with today. So looking at it, it has very many parts. So you can assess yourself in terms of transport. What do you use? Do you use something that is environmental friendly? Do you cycle to school? Do you walk to school? Or do you actually use cars or even some airplanes and helicopters? I don't know. In your household, what do you use in terms of the soap, the toys that people play, that children play with? What do you purchase? Do you purchase impulsively or do you purchase with a purpose? Electricity, do you remember to switch it off? Do you minimize the use of electricity as much as you can? The phone and the internet. Then we have the recycling part. What do you do to recycle? Then water, do you collect water? Do you save water? And all the waste, how do you collect it? How do you dispose of it?
Yes, so that's a challenge and food for thought that we leave everyone with as well today. We obviously have various next steps as well as we continue in our mission to have minimal impact and one day hopefully be a carbon neutral school. So yeah, so lots of questions that we have also in mind, and I think every day we continue trying to do better. So yes, that is kind of it from us, unless anyone has any questions for us.
Thank you so much, Sarah Moya. That was so interesting. There was so much there. While we get ready to hear from Braeside, Danson, are you there? I just had one question.
Yes.
I just had one question to ask you. Could you tell the students that are in the room today, how long does it take you to get to the beach? You do so much for the ocean as well. And I was just wondering, how long does it take you to get to your beach? In Ireland, we're not further away from a beach than most people an hour's drive.
Yeah, so if you go by bus or by car, it would probably take you 8 hours. But if you fly, then it's 45 minutes you're there.
Okay, cool.
If you
Interesting
walk,
to know.
maybe never.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you do so much for with plastic waste that ends up in our ocean. I found that very interesting to hear, and you're so far away from it, so it's really wonderful. Thanks so much. I hand you over to Danson. Danson.
Oh, yes, that was amazing. And it's challenging, I think, for all of us, and also a good exchange of knowledge for all the schools, all the teachers, all the students to get ideas on some of the actions that can be taken at school level in order to solve climate action, the challenge of life on land, and also life below water, among all the other SDGs. So because we are having only about 10 minutes, we are going to welcome our next school, Braeside School, who are also going to present something for about 10 minutes, also on climate action. So Braeside, if you can share your screen, yeah, perfect. Take over.
Okay, thank you so much, Danson. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Also, we have a small presentation from Braeside. Braeside is a school located at Lavington in Kenya. It's a co-educational school. So I'll let my students take it away. There's something they have to present on.
So we had a presentation on Kenya's plan for a green future. So first we wanted to talk about Kenya's efficient tourist industry. So every country needs to make profit from somewhere. Kenya's economy is held together by its tourist industry. Now, although tourism is generally bad for the climate, Kenya uses its agriculture to promote tourism. So basically, when every other country was involved in industrialization, Kenya decided to get its profit through its agriculture and the land around us. We didn't know how much profit that would gain, but due to the lack of wildlife around the world, the amount of trees that have been cut down, Kenya's efficient tourist industry has helped us maintain a lot of wildlife. So now we move on to why Kenya has maintained its natural beauty. So industrialization caused a lot of high fossil fuels emissions, but because Kenya has maintained large areas which are free from these factories and industries, we have a better natural environment. Could we move to the next slide, please? Okay, so now we'd like to talk about tree planting and community service. So in Kenya, there is a day called Tree Planting Day, where it promotes the public to go out and plant trees. And us as Braeside, our year 12 for community service, planted these trees as a year group. So this raised a lot of awareness of what's happening to the earth and how much paper we use and how that causes so many trees to be destroyed. Because in today's day and age, now we're going to move on to cautious paper use. So previously, our school used, however, that wasted a lot of paper. Paper that we were using at the time. When you're done with a notebook, we would waste all the paper remaining book and before giving you a new one. So now we move on to paper drive. Paper drive happen regularly in Braeside. There are large bins. So basically, all the papers from our previous lessons that we no longer take, or all old papers, are then put into this box and are given out to be recycled. So this lets us know how much paper we're actually wasting in a year, which helps us be more cautious with how we use the paper in the future. And it gives us a visual image of how much we are using. Okay, so now I'd like to move on to preventing littering in school. So Braeside has a zero policy for littering and isn't afraid to enforce it. Of course, each school can place posters saying don't litter, but how many people listen? So previously, for example, in our canteen, there were ice popsicles, and the wrappers were made out of plastic and were discarded in the field, despite our garbage cans, which allocated an area for plastics. This meant that Braeside needed to change something. We can't just sit by and tell people what to do. Therefore, they landed up banning it. If you really want people to take in what you're trying to tell them, do not litter, you have to give them consequences. Therefore, no matter how small they are, this helped us see how much a change it was making. In our field, how little litter was there afterwards and how much was there before helps us notice how much one piece of trash can change.
The ways that Kenya has changed in like plastic banning. So like in 2017, Kenya passed a law of single-use plastic bags in the grocery stores are no longer there. This is because the amount of damage it was doing to the environment was a huge amount. So the Kenyan government decided that plastic pollution should be reduced by that. Another thing, I'd like to move on to Kenya's slow introduction into electric cars. A few years ago, most Kenyans and most of us knew very little about electric cars and vehicles. We mostly knew them from online about like America doing this or like European countries doing that. But now Kenya has done a lot because now when you walk into Kenya, like you see like a lot of gas stations with electric chargers for the cars. So now Kenya is slowly and steadily and Kenya is slowly introducing electric cars step by step, but it's not really that fast. So right now in Ubers, we have like different Uber options. You could go with an electric car for Ubers or like a bus. However, these things change, these changing things are rather happening in a fast pace, especially here in Kenya. International EV startups enter a country in troops. And the momentum to the adopt electric vehicles will only accelerate as calls for measure to curb pollution in a bid to reverse climate change impacts and get louder. Some startups set up their bases in Kenya include Basico, Crudy, Apollo Bus, and from those things, more and more are set to join the bandwagon. Basico is pioneering a new generation of eco-friendly buses that are set to reduce carbon emissions in major cities like Nairobi, Nakuru, Kisumu, and Mombasa. That are in choking dangerous fumes. For years, diesel-powered buses have only been available solutions to bus operations in Kenya. We are excited.
I'd like to talk about Braeside on a Thursday in SDG 1 or SDG 15 as we're talking after we litter, or if other people said everyone can live in harmony. So move on to the next slide. Kenya Wildlife Service. Kenya Wildlife Service aims to protect wildlife from poaching. For example, like a wildlife sanctuary like Fast and Furious, where the last white rhinos are kept, and rangers survey the area and protects the animals from being poached. This heavily helps the wildlife and keeps our animals safe from poaching. I'd like to move on to Kenya Forestry Service. Kenya Forestry Service aims to protect forests such as Karura Forest from deforestation plans. For example, if the government may think of making a hotel in a forest such as Karura, Kenya Forestry Service would not permit it and keep this forest safe from deforestation. I'd like to end this off by this is how some ways we've been seeing SDG 13 and 15 used in our country, and we look forward to hearing how you guys do it.
Okay, thank you very much. Just a brief of what we do as a country and what also our school focuses on. So I would like to hand you back to Danson. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. And that's also, I think, a reminder of the interlinkages that we have between SDG 13 and SDG 15, together with all the other SDGs. I think one of the major things about SDG is how we cannot achieve one by neglecting the others. That for us to achieve all the SDGs, then we must work on them in unison together. Thank you all for showing up today. It was amazing. We've learned a lot, and I'm sure there is a lot, I think, that a few ideas that all of you have taken and can be able to share it within your school networks and also at home. And for all those who are outside Kenya, once again, I'd like to remind you, welcome to Kenya. Once you get some time, Karibu Kenya. Thank you all, and back to Budget.
Thank you so much. It was so interesting to hear from all the students in Kenya. Thank you, Danson, for facilitating that. And I am looking forward to tomorrow. And I think at this stage, we need to dance ourselves out of the room again. What do you think, everyone? Happy to do that? Great. Right now. There. Can we hear it? Thank you for today.
If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you.
Bye now.
Find out what we're made of.
For Captain Bane and our rocking it, guys.
Help our friends in need.
I can see ya.
Count on me like 1, 2, 3. I'll be there.
Well, gonna put
And I
that
know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there.
Oh,
'Cause that's
well
what
done.
friends are supposed to do. Oh yeah. Ooh, yeah. If you're tossing and you're turning and you just can't fall asleep,
Tomorrow, everyone.
I'll sing a song.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day I will remind you. Oh, find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3. I'll be there.